Welcome to the conversation part of the Upper Bowl podcast. We have from 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, Texas, where they are a part of the GBAG Nation, which airs on the afternoon drive from 2 to 7 p.m. every Monday through Friday. They are also the hosts of Bet Nation that airs on Sundays 4 to 8 Eastern on the Bet MGM network. They are also part of the Dallas Cowboys radio network, working the pregame and postgame shows with Super Bowl winning scout Brian Brodus. They are also hosts of the Love of the Star, where you can listen to on all platforms, talking about all the things about the Dallas Cowboys, no matter what's free agency, draft, leading up to Eagles Cowboys week 1 for the opening season. I'd like to welcome to the show. They're both alumni of the University of North Texas, which I like to say is much better than my degree anyways. They are the Nosebleeds. Eric Chiofalo, Zach Wolchuk, welcome to the Upper Bowl podcast. And also, we have special guests as well. Clyde Direnzo back on the pod. How are you guys doing today?
We're great, man. Thanks for having us.
Fantastic, boys. Great to see you.
What an intro.
Thank you. I got to give everybody their flowers. That's how we do it anyways. All right. I want a little background on everyone. Where did you guys meet, and how did the Nosebleeds podcast start up? Because I saw it on my old iTunes account. I thought I listened to them. Those were fire back in the day. I'll say that for sure.
Oh, dude. Thank you so much. I started a Nosebleed Seats podcast. I was like by myself, really. And then I got to UNT and Eric and I met, and Eric was like, I'd like to start a podcast. I was like, why don't we just combine forces here? And we just kind of kept the same name. But the rest has really been history. If it weren't for the show called Sports Zone, Eric, we might never have met.
Yeah, we met on the TV set at the University of North Texas. We were pulling double duty on the hosting gig for this like kind of first take style TV show that we were doing in college, just to grease the wheels a little bit. He had been interning. He had already interned. Wolchuk did at 105.3 The Fan, which was the station here locally that I was a big listener of, and really the station that I wanted to be a part of once the time came. So Wolchuk, we kind of clicked with that. And then, a few months later, we started doing the podcast, did that for many years, and then got the night show at 105.3 The Fan as the Nosebleed Seats. And then 3 or 4 years ago, we got bumped up into Afternoon Drive. We joined the GBAG Nation, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since, man. It's been a blast.
That is awesome. I always say the podcast life is always the best life. If it takes for, because I know the grind is crazy, because I did it I still do it. Clyde was the co-host of the Upper Bowl podcast for like the season of 2021 until like 2022 anyway. So I understand the podcast grind, and also trying to get the grind into radio. It's great. It's a long process, I like to say.
No doubt.
It is. I mean, we were both, when we were doing the night show, Eric was slinging cars. I was slinging chicken. One of our listeners texted, and I was managing a Chick-fil-A, and Eric was, selling cars. And then we'd get off work and go do our night show from 7 to 11 Central. So it'd be 8 to midnight Eastern. And then we'd go on after a Rangers game, because we're the home of the Rangers. So we'd go from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. and then just turn around and do it again the next day. So it's, we've gotten to talk to other people before that want to get into radio. And it's like, advice that I'll give, just make sure you love it. Make sure you want to do it, because it's, I even had moments where I was thinking, should I get a 9 to 5? Is this going to happen?
Yeah.
But we've been very blessed, and obviously have worked hard, but it's been awesome to get where we've been.
Yeah. Should I operate like a normal human, or just stay in this crazy radio?
Like, this is a weird deal. I don't know about this, but it's the dream, man. It really is.
At least, like, I would say this, I used to open up an LA Fitness up north anyways, and I looked at it myself like, I need to get out of here. And then like I got down here, I was like, I don't want to look back at it. I look at LA Fitness like I know how to run it, and I never want to work at an LA Fitness ever again. How about that?
Woo, trust me, when I went back to Chick-fil-A, I was like, I know it's $10 an hour, but gosh, nothing beats just being able to talk sports. It's still, it's an unbelievable life that we get to live.
Definitely, for sure. I gotta say, you guys had in Dallas the past 6 months to a year, I've never seen sports hell, and seen Luka leave. I like to say the addition of Mikko Rantanen, because I do like your hockey team as well. I like to say you have a functional hockey team, which I root sidedly on the side, and now you lose Michael Parsons. Are the sports gods hating you guys? Like Bill Simmons says like God hates Cleveland sports moment. Is God having a I hate Dallas sports moment, would you say?
Man, it's interesting because with the Luka stuff, I would say yes. I mean, that was a disaster. Now it has come full circle and you get Cooper Flag. So when you consider the options of moving on from Luka and then what could have transpired after that, really the best case scenario. And I mean, was there a bunch of tomfoolery going on behind the scenes to work that out? I have to imagine there was, because 1.8% to land Cooper Flag just seems too good to be true. But yeah, the initial Luka trade was unlike anything I've ever experienced here. I mean, truly, it was like hide the kids, hide the wives. We're burning the city down. This is, and we're still. I mean, there was a video just this week of Mavericks fans bumping into Nico Harrison. I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter.
I did see it. It was in Lubbock, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So I thought it was in Lubbock. Apparently, it actually might have been here in North Dallas. It was like they thought it was in Lubbock, but it's actually like right here in North Dallas.
Yeah.
In Addison. And somebody just sees Nico Harrison in a restaurant and walks up to him like, "Hey, man, nice to meet you," and then basically like, "Go F yourself. We still hate you." Like that's still where it is at. So even with the Cooper Flag stuff, there's still majority of Mavericks fans that are still so unbelievably pissed off and sad that they don't even know what to do with themselves. So that was crazy. The Micah stuff's been interesting because, I mean, Wolchuk, you could attest to this. Like, seems like it's been probably 80% in favor of the move, which is a little bit surprising. Like I'm kind of in the minority on the move, but Wolchuk, I mean, this is something that Cowboys fans have, I guess, are very excited about the fact that they finally moved on from Micah.
Yeah, like the Lucas stuff, I don't think I'll ever personally be able to get over. And I don't think it's not comparable. And I never thought it really was. Like, no, Micah. And it's just it's tough even because Luka's one of 5 players on a court at all times. So one player just means that much more than 1 on 11. You know, if Micah freelances and decides and it doesn't work out, he can absolutely screw a play because now everyone else has been put out of position because of one guy not doing their responsibility when it's 11 players on 11. So, like, to me, the greatness of Luka, and Luka had also just done more for the Maverick franchise. Like, what Micah's done's great. He's phenomenal. First 4 years, only player in the history of the sport to have 12-plus sacks since Reggie White. Like, that's rarefied air. Absolutely. Like, the dude's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. I don't want to belittle Micah in any way. But, yeah, I mean, just when you get into the business and now you understand how the sausage is made.
Especially if you're a favorite team also.
Right. Like, my opinion on Mike, I'll be honest, has been soured over the last few years. Like, he bothers me with him trying to puff his chest out and talk about leadership. And it's like, dude, I don't really care if you're a leader or not. I don't need you to be. The best player is not always the leader on the team. It's that way with Corey Seager on the Rangers. Corey Seager doesn't want that leadership responsibility. He's like, I'm a humble dude. I carry a big stick. You know, like when the game's on the line in the 9th inning of the World Series to tie it up and send it into extras, boom, I got you. But otherwise, like, what I do might not work for you. Don't emulate me. Micah will say all the right things, but he never followed through with his actions, in my opinion. And on the field, he was great, but him, like the rest of the Cowboys, and it's not like he didn't play well in the playoffs. There were definitely moments. I mean, we've all seen the Mike McGlinchey one-handed, you're throwing him to the absolute side, but
best him, of all time.
Dak, and yeah, I mean, they all have come up short in the postseason. So when you're the Cowboys and they're just a team that sucks with contracts and the salary cap, like, this move does make some sense to me. I just wish that the bottom line is you've got 2 general managers that really don't know what the hell they're doing in Nico and Jerry. And Jerry's reactionary. Jerry has no plan for anything. Their intention was to pay Micah Parsons. All of a sudden, when things went south for a variety of different reasons, and now Jerry can't trust Micah, then it's okay, we're shipping you away. And you ship him to a team that's beaten you 3 times in heartbreaking fashion in the playoffs, and you're shipping him to a team that I wonder, like, could you have gotten more for him from other people? And if you had have done this in March or April, maybe you could have. But hey, it is what it is now. And I think if you're a Cowboy fan, like, the reason why I'm somewhat happy, you've got room now to pay Deron Bland. You can maybe have visions of keeping George Pickens in a Cowboy uniform. Can you get Tyler Smith done? Like, you actually have some money. And it really hit me Saturday watching college football. And again, can I trust the Cowboys to do this? The answer is probably no, but I'm going to live in a world where I can still have some hope as a fan and think there's a chance where they can utilize these drafts in one of the next 2 years to go up and get their next franchise quarterback, because they haven't taken a guy in round 1 since Troy Aikman. So it is time to finally go up and get a guy.
I did not know that, by the way.
Yeah. They got lucky with Romo. They got lucky with Dak. They didn't want Dak. They wanted Paxton Lynch and Connor Cook. And then eventually they're like, all right, we'll settle for Dak. Kellen Moore breaks his leg. Romo breaks his back. They're like, okay, here's Dak Prescott. And what happened? He ended up being a home run for you for just sheer luck. Same thing with Romo. If Quincy Carter doesn't fail a drug test, Tony Romo doesn't make the roster. So they've stumbled into their last two franchise quarterbacks. But again, it's the ineptitude of team building that is really the Jones way. And they're so stubborn and they've got to win their way or else. And that's where there's a lack of hope from Cowboy fans, including I'm speaking for myself as one.
Well, do you think that comes down to like culture? Like, honestly, because I feel like the biggest reason, and I think something like that even goes into like the Eagles lately and Jalen and the criticisms around him. Say what you want. The guy has found a way to, especially after losing a Super Bowl in a semi-controversial fashion, say what you want about that call at the end, whatever, give Jalen the ball back, could have happened. But the fact that he got back, they won. Not telling you that like Cooper DeJean was taking advice from Jalen on which cut to make at the end of the game, or he's talking to Quinyon. But I think that leadership and that presence and the fact that like Sirianni and Howie and Lurie kind of give them that space to operate that way. Like, do you think this even goes back to before Romo to like see these problems, whether it is a Romo problem, the Dak problem, now this whole Parsons issue? Is this really just kind of even more amplified because Jerry's older and it's a little more in the spotlight? Like, do you think that's the main reason for all of this, or is it really just because of their issues with the roster? Am I reading too much into culture when I argue with other fans?
No, because the culture starts at the top. So like Brian Schottenheimer, since he's been hired, has said he wants to create the best culture in pro sports. I think he's got the ability to do that. The dude is the best communicator maybe I've ever heard at a podium as a coach. He's got the ability, I think, to set that. But he also is going to have to go and do press conferences with Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones sitting next to him, who will say something that counters what probably Brian Schottenheimer would say and the message he wants to send. So like Mark Schlereth, who comes on our show a lot, the Stinking Truth podcast, and of course, long time on Fox Sports, he has used the words Jerry Jones doesn't ever empower a head coach. And I agree with him 100%. There's always going to be something that happens, even with Bill Parcells. Parcells didn't want Terrell Owens. And just to turn it back into Cowboys-Eagles week here, Stephen Jones or Jerry comes in and is like, well, I couldn't help myself, and now Terrell Owens is a member of the Cowboys. And T.O. was awesome, don't get me wrong, but Bill Parcells did not want him on that team, and he refused to call him by his name. He called him the player. And, I mean, Bill wasn't wrong. I mean, we had like a suicide deal that happened with T.O. where he overdosed on a bunch of pills, and you got there was all kinds of crap that always would go down wherever T.O. was, despite the fact that he was great. But yes, I think that you guys are 100% right, and maybe you've got a different feeling on that, Eric, but I do think that I don't think you're ever really going to be able to change the culture and the way the Cowboys are run, because, again, it's the Jones way, and that's also why you're never going to hire a head coach of the caliber of a Bill Belichick or a Mike Vrabel or any of these other guys that would come in and be like, I'm the mother bleeping dude, because Jerry's the mother bleeping dude. He's the Don. At least that's what he wants to be. He wants to be the one that gets all the credit when they win.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's 100% the case. I mean, Jerry's not really a football guy. You saw it in the Netflix documentary. Jimmy was the football guy. Jerry wanted the credit, and ever since, he's been like, no, this is going to be me, and I'm going to be the one that's making the decisions. And so you're not going to be able to get a real coach in here because, I mean, even when they hired Bill Parcells, it was just so that they could get the stadium that they wanted, the AT&T Stadium there in Arlington. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of yes men. It's Jason Garrett, who sticks around way too long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like they've never really had a difference maker at head coach post Jimmy Johnson, other than Parcells for just a couple of years. But how long did that take for everything to go sour? Not very long at all. Exactly. So, the proof's in the pudding there. And Jerry talks about it all the time. Like he loves the soap opera. He loves to stir things up. He loves, like, his Super Bowl every year is when Forbes or whatever comes out with the highest valued team in pro sports, and it's always the Cowboys.
Are we above the Lakers this year? Yeah, like that's all I care about.
Yeah.
It's pop bottles, baby.
The ratings, the marketing, all that kind of stuff is really all he cares about, and that's why you see Jalen Smith comes in. He's done really nothing, but he's got his own brand of clothes and eyewear. You have Micah Parsons 5 seconds into his NFL career. He's the managing editor of Bleacher Report. He's got his own podcast, just because like that's the tenor of the organization. It's just like, hey, we want to be flashy, we want to be out there, but in no way is there a championship substance to this. You don't go on a 30-year conference championship drought by accident.
No. Yeah, that's unheard of, really. It's like,
no, you'd think law of averages eventually you'll stumble into one.
Yeah, it's like the Yankees almost.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for the Cowboys.
Like I still shocked by that because I always feel like the Yankees found out when they got to a World Series after missing one for almost a decade plus. It's like sooner or later the Cowboys will get one. And like I look, it's like been 30 years. It's like Christ. Anyways, since you guys were in Dallas during the Doc series, did they miss anything that you guys like were shocked they didn't touch on? Would you say? Because I feel like you guys grew up in it, and like I grew up out in the middle of the Northeast, and it was like maybe we didn't get all the crazy headlines.
I think they did a pretty good job. I think there's so much more with the White House and the party lifestyle of that 90s team that is just, and they probably will ever be able to hear about, because people, you could hear it there. They're like, yeah, man, I'm not trying to go to jail. Like how many NDAs were signed? Like Michael Irvin's the only one that says, all right, I'll raise my hand. I'll talk about this. But Ken Norton Jr. Leaving the Cowboys to go to the 49ers, that bothered me. Mm-hmm. They just glance over that. Like all of a sudden there's a clip in that 94 championship game, Ken Norton's tackling Emmitt Smith. It's like, this was one of your best players in your first 2 Super Bowls, and now he goes to the enemy. Like, I get Dion switch teams, but Ken Norton Jr. switching teams was pretty big.
That's a huge one.
Yeah, like, come on. So that was one that was just glossed over. And there was, I probably would have liked a little bit more of the, what's happened here in the last 15 years. But at the same time,
it felt like a puff piece towards the end anyway.
Yeah, there's no winning. Like, what are you going to focus on? Like there's nothing to really celebrate there. Oh, they opened AT&T Stadium. Oh, they won a division title. Holy crap, they shut out the Eagles in a wild card playoff game finally. This is amazing. But then what happens in the next round?
Spanked by Brett Favre and the Minnesota Vikings, which is the weirdest thing to say of all time anyways.
Yeah.
Like I was shocked. Like I personally, like, why didn't they go into the 94, like leading them to the first ever free agency? That would have been like the coolest thing to talk about. Yeah, that's a good point. And also me, like Shane Gailey to Dave Campo. And I want to know what happened with Bill Parcells there in Teterboro Airport, Like, why didn't we talk about that with like Sean Payton, who got fired by the New York Giants? Anyways, like there's a lot left on the cutting board. Like I want to know what was going on in the mid 2000s, like how we got Drew Henson out of a baseball contract, at least,
Yeah, you're talking baseball GMs over who's going to be this next quarterback. Just a crazy. Again, that speaks to the dysfunction that is the way this thing is operated and ran. And unfortunately, it's never going to change. So that's why I now have to dream about, hey, we got 4 draft picks in the first round in the next 2 years.
Speaking of the
Cowboys, do something with them.
What do you guys want? Are you guys like hoping to get the Arch Manning sweepstakes? Would you say? Like, are we in that? Like, or do you want Grant Nesselmeyer?
Nobody wants Archie Manning now, right? Get him out of the league. Kick him out. Privileged.
Yeah, he's Uncle Rico.
Yeah. I still believe that Arch. Yeah, I'm not like, I believe that Arch is still going to be good. But yeah, like Nuss, I think is going to be the real deal. Lenora Sellers could end up being awesome. Like, it's so tough with these quarterbacks, but I am excited. Like DJ Lagway from Florida could end up being a guy that we're talking about. So, to me, certainly, I'm interested in all of these names. The only one that I'm really like, I want no part of is Drew Aller.
I was going to say, is it Carson Beck and his elbow? Because I feel
and Carson Beck, but I didn't think Miami would win last night. And Miami said, haha, look at us. So, hey, raise my hand. I was wrong about the Canes.
Hey, you're allowed to be wrong anyways. I was worried about the Canes. Like, I'm like, whatever about it. So it's crazy. Speaking of Brian Schommer, what is the culture do you want to see? Are they able to align it with Jerry's views, or is Brian Schommer talking to a brick wall of like, this is the culture, and Jerry's is like, no? Is that what it's pretty much is like anyways? Would you say, as you guys are in it and you guys were at training camp anyways?
Yeah, when it comes to the football team, I think Schottenheimer does a nice job. Like the way he relates to the players, the way that like the competing, the accountability, but also the investment into the players to where they they're comfortable being held accountable, right? Like, it's very obvious, like, this dude, he doesn't just play the part of like caring about his players, like he really does. So, and he's a super likable guy. Like, you spend 5 minutes around him and you're like, okay, I see it. I see it. But there's so many other things about the organization that will prevent it from it being exactly what you want it to be, because you can't separate the two, because Jerry is always in the mix. I mean, you're going to have Jerry Jones talking on our radio station twice a week throughout the football season. After every home game, he's going to be the guy that has the majority of the media scrum around him, when the head coach is in the actual presser room after the game with like 2 or 3 media members talking to him. The rest of them are all outside the locker room surrounding Jerry Jones, waiting for him to say whatever it is that he's going to say. And even despite all of that, if they were actually committed to winning, even if Jerry wanted to do all the I'm the face and the voice and do all this kind of stuff, but then they were really making the best possible football decisions for their team and putting a roster together that was with the intent of trying to win a Super Bowl, like what the Eagles are doing right now is a great example of like, there's a lot of crazy personalities in that organization, on that roster, on that sideline, but hey, like, Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie are committed as hell to putting the best roster together possible. And they, when they screw something up, they turn and burn and they move on. When Dallas screws up, like, I think the perfect example is the Eagles draft Jalen Reagor in 2020. The dude's a Minnesota Viking in 2022.
Yeah.
The Cowboys don't admit that. They draft a guy in the first round and they're riding him out forever. And I mean, maybe they've stumbled into something with Schottenheimer, but that's what it'd have been. Like, just like Wolchuk was saying, they stumble into Tony Romo. They stumble into Dak Prescott. Like, they didn't even interview Ben Johnson. And maybe Ben Johnson ends up being a terrible coach. But for everything that we knew about this offseason, Ben Johnson was the guy. And they didn't even want to give him a call because they don't want an alpha super football beast on their sidelines. So it's just, it's really difficult to thread that needle the way you're supposed to. And even if Schottenheimer can, he will more often than not be held back by a roster that is super imbalanced.
Yeah. It's the depth chart's kind of like, it's very top heavy. It's like almost like Miami Dolphins almost.
And it's always been that way. Like, people around the league will look at the Cowboys roster and, oh my gosh, like some years they'll have 8-9 Pro Bowlers. But they get a person go down, they very rarely, and I guess that could be a league-wide problem in fairness, right? There's only so many good football players to go around, but the Cowboys are always a little bit inflated in a sense when it comes to some of their players, which, I mean, I love them, don't get me wrong, but it can be frustrating, especially with all, and I think the national media's kind of caught up to some of that stuff, and especially to Jerry's contract antics and the way they go about their business.
Is that like, would you say like how there's no suing yet between NFLPA versus Jerry Jones or the owners yet for like contract negotiations? Like, since the CBA is probably coming up soon, that could be the big one first, anyways.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, the problem is the NFLPA just sucks.
Yeah.
Those guys need to get their own house in order before they can really do lawsuits towards the NFL. But yes, that needs to be something in writing that you are not allowed to talk with a player unless the representation's around, unless said player wants to. But that will always be a loophole that Jerry will try and get around. And quite frankly, that's smart for him to do so. If he's able to sit down with a player and get him to take a lesser contract, that's the name of the game. But it is not in the player's best interest to allow that to happen.
What do you guys expect of Schottenheimer? Just run the ball guy and like almost like Marty Schottenheimer back in the day when he was with the Chargers and the Chiefs almost? Or is that your guys' expectation so far, would you say, or something better, would you say?
Man, I mean, the day they hired him, that was kind of what I was thinking. It was not a very exciting time. I mean, it was literally a Friday night news dump is when they announced it, right? I mean, it was like 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Central Time on a Friday night. Like, let's just sweep this one under the rug here a little bit. Nobody was excited about it. But I do think it's been encouraging the coaching staff that he's put together, especially offensively, where he hasn't just recycled a bunch of old guys that he's coached with like you see so often in football. This has been a pretty extensive coaching search, I would say, when it comes to filling out the staff. And Schottenheimer did have a lot of control over that. And so he was going into the college ranks for the offensive line, Connor Riley, K-State, boom. He's going to Oregon to get the wide receivers coach. Then he goes to Arizona and the Cardinals to get Clayton Adams to be the offensive coordinator, a guy who was really the architect behind one of the more impressive rushing attacks in football over the last couple of years. And so when that happened, and then you start hear him talking about his vision for the offense, it was like, okay, this is a guy that understands, like, he's saying the right things about the way offensive football is played now. And the Cowboys have not had an advantage on the sidelines offensively. I mean, I can't even tell you the last time you were like, man, this is a guy here that you really trust. Yeah,
probably Sean Payton in 07.
Yeah, that's a great call. But outside of that, you haven't had a difference maker there. But Schottenheimer's saying the right things. He put the right staff together, I would say, and then we get to training camp, and you start to see a little bit here, a little bit there of, okay, now the vision is starting to come to fruition, and it certainly helps when you have George Pickens there opposite CeeDee Lamb and a healthy Dak Prescott. They've invested in the offensive line. So, I mean, there are some things to like big picture about hopefully the way they're going to go about and attack things offensively. Much better than McCarthy, hopefully much better than Kellen Moore, Jason Garrett as well.
Would you say, I guess just going off of that, say Schottenheimer has a good year, say the Cowboys have, despite all of the Parsons drama, a more competitive year than not, and they're going into next year. I mean, they're one first-round draft pick away from more of this drama with, God knows, especially with more NIL deals and players getting more and more bold with the trends of, college. But regardless, say he has a good year and say Jerry keeps in the headlines with how it's been going lately. Is there a way to, take the keys away from Grandpa? Or even if it's Stephen Jones and the rest of the family, will it just be more of the same regardless of how long Jerry's in control?
Yeah, I mean, I think Stephen is running a good amount of everything. But Jerry is always going to stay in front of the camera, and he's going to do, to Eric's point, the radio interviews, the post-game interviews in the hallway, all of that stuff. So, Jerry's not going to go away from being the visible face, but I do think behind the scenes, Stephen is running the day-to-day operations of the team. And Stephen even said in their opening press conference in regards to Micah's status with David Mulligetta, that Stephen is the one that talks to the agents. Jerry doesn't. That's why Jerry was so adamant about, I'm talking to Micah. We don't need to get this agent done. Stephen comes in and then we'll talk to the agent. So I'd like to hope that maybe, as morbid as it is, whenever Jerry is no longer here, is there a chance that Stephen would have more of an open-minded view and say, hey, Charlotte, Jerry Jr. and I were going to be the co-owners here, but I am going to allow Will McClay or whoever else it will be to actually be the general manager in title. But hey, we don't really know for sure that that's going to change. I mean, I'd probably lean more likely than not. Apple doesn't far from the tree, right? He's
Al Davis when Al Davis passed away, his marketing started like, give me a GM finally.
Yes, I mean, there is a chance it could be worse. So I don't know what to think. I mean, again, in that Netflix doc, and I've said this on a variety of platforms, Troy Aikman talks about when he retired. Yeah. And when he decided to leave the Cowboys, he did so because there was no question who was in charge. That was Jerry. And he just didn't have any hope. He didn't see any finish line here. Has that changed in 30 years? They've had some moments, in 14, you're thinking this is it. 16, you're thinking this is it. 2007, maybe this was it if Romo gets the snap down against Seattle. But something always happens. And the amount of heartbreak, and people want to dunk on Cowboy fans all the time, and I get it. But there's a generation of Cowboy fans that have been freaking tormented, like Minnesota Vikings style, where it's been just disgusting to watch.
What's the worst, out of all the tormentations? I'm still mad about 07 still, because I hate that Giant team with a passion, by the way, with Eli Manning. You guys should have smoked that Giant team. What's the one team that you guys wish should have won? Went to the NFC title game, would you say? Because I think that 07 team was incredible, by the way.
I mean, Wolchuk will have thoughts on every single one of their their years that
Yeah.
ended in sadness.
That 07 team, it's like I hate the New York Giants with passion, and I wish Eli never won those Super Bowls. That's why. So
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's their most recent one at home versus the Packers. I mean, Jerry talked about it being the most emotional and embarrassing loss, basically, of his career, and that is one that was just so awful from start to finish. It was such a disgusting performance. The Packers come into AT&T Stadium and completely slap them around on both sides of the ball. Nobody showed up. Everybody's like deer in the headlights, like we've never done this before on a year where Dak was supposed to be, second runner up and MVP, and they were playing the youngest team in the league that year in the Packers at home. It was like, this is the perfect opportunity to at the very least get to a conference title game. And within 5 minutes of that game, you knew that they didn't have a chance. And to me, that one, it honestly just still pisses me off, because at least in a lot of these other heartbreaking ones, it's like it's an unfortunate situation here or there, but it's like, hey, we came to play and we are clearly professionals. That game was like they replaced the real players with dudes that had never played before. It was the most shocking, ridiculous loss that I can remember.
Yeah, I was doing a Heat game at night. I was looking like, holy Christ, this is awful. Like, what are we doing?
It was awful.
Yeah. Plus, you guys did pre and Zach did post game, so that probably like,
and it was over at halftime. Like, it was just, those have been, I mean, the worst one was probably that second 49ers loss in terms of just having to work a post game. The one to me will always be like 14, the Des Cottick game, because you had Romo, that was the best version of himself ever, the best offensive line in the league, the best running back in the league that year. Like, the defense, not as good as 07, not as good as that 2023 team. Certainly had its weakness, but like offensively, they beat Seattle earlier that year. I think they'd have beaten them again. Would they have beaten New England? I don't know, but that's the team I would have chosen to ride with. But yeah, it's just, man, doing post game after that second 49er playoff loss was just gut wrenching. Like, you held them to 19 points. Come on, guys. Like, you did what you needed to do. You needed to find a way, Dak and company, to get 20 on the board, and you couldn't do it.
Where's Dak right now? With all the fans, of all the Cowboy fans, or is there? I know a lot of people nationally hate him. Like, I wonder what's going on locally. Is there like people hate him, or is it like lukewarm? Or is he getting the Romo effect? Would you say?
I think Eric's thoughts on him is how the fans probably most feel.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like, dude, it's been 10 years. It's tough because ultimately the Cowboys' problems precede him for sure. Yeah. And it would take a very, 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 very special, unique individual talent and leader at that position to be able to overcome what it is. I don't even think that person really exists ultimately. But Dak has not been the solution. Dak has in no way been the solution at all over the course of the last decade. And it's like, I was fine with giving him the initial contract, the initial big contract after you tag him and all that kind of stuff, because it's like, hey, there's still a lot of football left here, and he's shown that he can clearly be a franchise quarterback, a good quarterback. But on this latest contract, it was like, what are you doing? I mean, he had, at that point, he had already had the catastrophic injury, and he never shows up in big games. He doesn't show up even in the 2023 season when he's the runner-up MVP. Go look at those games. He just feasted on bad defenses, feasted on bad teams. That's what the Cowboys have done. And they can get these gaudy numbers, and it's like, wow, the Cowboys offense looks amazing. And then they go to Buffalo and they get smacked. They go to San Francisco, they get smacked. They have the Packers come to their house in the postseason and they get smacked. He had the one phenomenal postseason game. It was in Tampa Bay, Tom Brady's last game. That was an under 500 football team. Yeah. That you ran into a team that happened to be in the playoffs that really wasn't a playoff team. Outside of that, it's very pedestrian. And there's been games, especially in some of those Niners games, where it's like defense came to play. Defense held them to 17. Defense held them to 20 points. You can't go get 21 points. Why am I paying you $60 million to do that? Now, again, Dak, I'm talking to your face-to-face right now. Listen, I know there's a lot of crap that you got to deal with to be this quarterback, and there's a lot of stuff you have to overcome to be the quarterback of this team and find great championship level success. But I've given you a decade to do it, and you haven't been able to do it. I just, at the very least, I want to see something new, man. I want to see something new. We all know how this plays out. Doesn't matter what type of regular season crap they do.
Yeah.
We know how this ends. So I'm over it. And I'm going to pay you $60 million for that. And now, I mean, he had already been signed, but now he has another hamstring ripped off the bone type injury. You're over 30. What are we doing in a world where we can find quarterbacks? Come on.
Yeah, it's I think a lot of there's just no belief really. And Dak's like an awesome human being, and he is a leader. Like, he's everything you want your franchise quarterback. But unless he's got the super team around him, he's not the quarterback. And there's few that are, but he's not going to mask any deficiencies that you guys have and overcome that. So I was pretty much out after the 22 San Fran game, you know, with Eric's point about the defense came to play, and that was your moment. Like, you've had the opportunity several times to go on that legacy drive. You get the ball, fourth quarter, go win it in the postseason. All the greats go through that moment, and Dak has not been able to do that. So, yeah, you've had plenty of chances. That's, again, the one excitement that you have right now from the 2 first-round picks you got is, can you go get that quarterback?
Yeah, speaking of quarterbacks, what do you guys like Jalen Hurts as we are almost days away from the opening season? Eagles Cowboys. Did the NFL use up a bullet way too quickly? Would you say for opening night? Would you say? Because that's how I felt. Because this is like a perfect week 4, week 5 game. When you look at the schedules, like, I like to balance the schedule out. When you look at it, like, I feel like some games are like Chiefs Cowboys is a perfect week 12, week 13 Sunday night game. I just feel like the NFL is like, oh, people are gonna watch it anyways. That's how I feel. Like, is that how you guys feel as well down there in Dallas?
We do get to raise the banner though, Trevor. So
I know, but I'm being honest here. Like, I look at stuff like nationally and just other ways outside Northeast. Like, they used up a bullet. This is like a perfect week 4, week 5 game. That's my personal opinion.
That was my initial thought too. Was like, this is always a Sunday night game. And it's always going to get ratings. So like, week 1, you can try things out with Lions Chiefs, and you're going to draw a big number.
Exactly.
So I was surprised, but to your point, Anthony, it's going to be the probably most watched game ever. And you do have, you know, an arch rival dropping a banner, especially now what's happened with the Micah trade. Like, it's and Dak, I think a big reason was Dak and Jalen Hurts have not gotten to play against each other much. So, you know, that you got that for week 1,
which is a first, I feel, since.
Yeah, that's a good point. You would think that they've played so many times, but they really haven't.
Unless you want to go to the college ranks and you can find out any Mississippi State, Alabama game anyways, and you're good to go anyways. This is my big thing with this Eagles Cowboy game. There's a lots of new pieces for the Eagles defense. Your favorite, I like to say this, your favorite player that you were showcasing in the draft shows, Andrew Mabuku from Texas.
Makuba?
What'd
you say, Mabuku?
Mabuku, yes. So clip that. I will clip that myself anyways.
Mabuku,
yeah. You're a Texas fan. What would you say people are expecting out of him? What do you say?
He's awesome. I mean, like, okay, I got to clarify. I don't know that I'm a Texas fan. I root for all the Texas schools. Like,
okay.
I'm a North Texas Mean Green fan. But I do have a lot of people that are close that I know that are friends with that are diehard Texas fans, and they do know people to get good information from. So a lot of the info that I've gotten behind the scenes at Texas has turned out to be correct. But I will pull for any team in the state of Texas not named Texas A&M. Pretty much just how I'm looking at it. The Aggies, I can't do it. I tried for a little bit. My uncle went to A&M. And I was like, no, this just isn't for me. But yeah, Andrew Makuba was awesome. I mean, I thought he was the second best safety in the draft. Very complete player. Can come up physical against the run. That's a massive upgrade over Reed Blankenship for them. Like, they shouldn't be messing around. Makuba should be starting from day 1. He's a really, really good player.
Chiofalo, what should we look for in the Cowboys offense, would you say? Since Dak's healthy for this game.
Well, are you specific to the Eagles game?
Yeah, Eagles, yeah, or the season. What'd you say? Or the season?
Well, I mean, I think generally speaking, you're thinking about the combination of Dak, Lamb, Pickens.
Yeah.
That should, I mean, that should
monster.
That should be feeding some families. And then you add in Jake Ferguson, who is, I think, a little bit underrated at the tight end spot. Now, he had a bad year last year, and he was dealing with a bad quarterback most of the season, and he was banged up. But as a third or fourth target in an offense and a guy that has a really good rapport with Dak Prescott, I mean, the passing game should be legit. So, I mean, that right there, plus you sprinkle in a little Kevontae Turpin. I mean, that speed is serious. And with everybody worried about Lamb and Pickens and maybe a little Ferguson over the middle, all of a sudden here comes one of the fastest dudes in the sport. Now, you can't throw the ball down the field to him. You just throw it to him like 5 yards and then let him run the rest of the way because he's just not really a deep ball guy in the same vein as like a George Pickens is. Throw it
like
up
a
to
bubble
him.
screen guy.
Yeah, bubble screen guy. Quick, get the ball in his hands and let him just go get easy yards with that speed. So to me, like that right there should be pretty legit. Now, if they can't run the ball, that's obviously going to hinder some things. I'm not a believer in Javonte Williams as a runner. Really not a believer in Miles Sanders as a runner. They might have struck some gold there with Jaden Blue if they can get his rear end on the field without getting banged up. You only saw him for a split second in the final preseason game. That's all we got to see because he was banged up during training camp. But clearly the most explosive back that you have. And so hopefully they can get him going here at some point very soon because I think they're going to need that to have some type of home run threat at the running back position. But the passing attack should be legit. The way Shoddy talks about the route concepts and the bunch formations and all sorts of the condensed stuff as well. Like for the first time in a long time, having a play caller that's going to help get the receivers open because they have not had that at all. So I'm optimistic about the pass game. I'm optimistic about the offensive line. I wish Guyton hadn't missed all of training camp. But if he can hit the ground running here and remain healthy, I think the offensive line should be pretty good. And I'm confident that they're going to have a good approach to running the football. It's just, do they have somebody that can really execute it? I don't think they do unless Jaden Blue can be consistent.
Is the approach better than before? This was like Mick McCarthy's like pass. Would you say? Would you say Schottenheimer's going to be like focus on the run, try to make it work? Would you say?
I just think it was just a very bland rushing attack is ultimately what it was. Now, Mike McCarthy is definitely a pass happy guy, but that wasn't even necessarily the biggest issue. It was just the fact that when they did run the ball, it was so basic, dude. Like they had one way to run the football and that's it. Whereas I think Clayton Adams, Connor Riley there in the run game and on the offensive line, they're going to have a versatile rushing attack. And so given the opponent, given the week-to-week nature of it, they can attack you in different ways. Whereas Mike McCarthy, he ran the ball one way, and it didn't matter what defense they were playing. That's just what they did. And there was very little eye candy with the motion and things like that. But these guys are they're going to hit you in a multitude of different ways rushing the football. And it may not show itself week one, but as the season progresses, I think you will start to see the evolution of the rushing attack be pretty awesome. Again, I just think, man, do you have a guy that you can give the ball to take advantage of that? That'll be the question.
So like probably expect more from the rushing attack when the next Eagles Cowboy matchup before Thanksgiving. Would you say we could say that? Would you say it'll be a more attack?
Given
like,
health.
I think their biggest plays in this one are probably going to be like getting Kevontae Turpin the ball, getting CeeDee Lamb the ball. Like I think they're going to have some surprise elements to their running game in this first one. Trick plays, if you will, that I don't think any of us necessarily know fully what to expect there and what the Eagles know what to expect. So I think that's where they're going to be able to strike and hopefully hit some plays with the element of surprise because they haven't let anybody see some of these things. But yeah, I mean, I think the hope is, to Eric's point with the offensive line, that the offensive line will just be good enough to where they'll be able to have some semblance of a running game in that second matchup.
Okay. Do you guys respect Jalen Hurts at all? I always wondered that.
I do.
Okay, I always ask.
He's heard a lot.
There's a lot of people I know, like, I don't respect him, but he's a good quarterback. I was like, really? Why?
Yeah, I did a top 10 quarterback list this offseason. I think I had Hurts at 5. And
I think 6 or 7. I think it was 7 because I was listening.
Was it 7?
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I think I put him right ahead of Jaden Daniels, and the only reason was like I just need to see another year from Jaden Daniels. You know, I just didn't want to like anoint the guy for 1 year, even though I'm not really worried about that with Daniels. I think he's better than Jalen Hurts if I had to pick one of them to start for me tomorrow. But
that's fine.
Hurts has played great in 2 Super Bowls, and there's something to be said about that. I think he's always been really good for the most part in clutch situations. There's elements to his game, like certainly the numbers under pressure, third down, like that you can point to. Is he always the most consistent passer? No, but what he's able to do with his legs, and he just wins. And he's able to kind of do similar to the credit I'll give to Patrick Mahomes. Like whatever the game asks you to do, he does to win it. There is some element of Jalen Hurts to that too. And I think that sometimes, like with him, he gets knocked for the numbers and how great of a team that he is. I don't think anybody could just be put on the Eagles and they go win a championship. Nick Foles is probably the worst thing that happened in Jalen Hurts' legacy because the Eagles fans saw it firsthand. Like, well, here's Nick Foles who has one good year ever and can take a great team talent-wise to go into the Super Bowl. But like everything just fell into place. If you look at that Eagles roster to last year's Eagles roster, there were holes on that first team. Like Alshon Jeffrey was their number 1 receiver, and he's legitimately probably a number 2 best case scenario on a team. So, yeah, I mean, like he's got a super team in terms of current NFL rosters, but I do think the hate to Hurts, similar to I do think the hate to Dak sometimes is a little overblown, but I do have respect for Hurts, but I hope he sucks and the Eagles, are miserable all season long. But he's a Texas kid. The Eagles have to come to the state of Texas and get 2 starting quarterbacks to win them championships. We should just ban them. There is no Texas-born kid playing quarterback that can start for filthy ever again.
I like that idea, Wolchuk.
But
I'll say this: we're going to ban the state of Florida from anybody else trying to get a quarterback from the state. Anyways, I'm going to say that, including
the Florida man. Yeah, we don't need that.
Florida.
But either way, I think that's accurate with Jalen. Like, is he the best quarterback? No, but I think a lot of the time people focus on the wrong things. And when you really think about it, where's the worst quarterback, or excuse me, not even quarterback, player in the NFL to the best player? Obviously the gap's big, but it's not as big as we make it. And I think, Jalen just finds a way to get guys to rally behind him. Like that, what was that? The dream team year with the Eagles? We had a good roster, but Vince Young ruined it all. So, but, we'll see. But regardless, to get to the game, the spread's at 7.5 right now. Do you think that the Cowboys not only could cover that, but have a shot at surprising fans and winning this one, week 1?
I think Wolchuk feels probably a little bit better. Wolchuk swayed me a little bit, and I'm to the point now where I feel like the Cowboys covering, could definitely make some sense here. It's element of surprise. It's a tough team to prepare for just because you really don't know what their offense is going to look like. They've been super vanilla, and maybe the Micah thing was a bit of a galvanizer, perhaps. And it's a divisional game, and generally when Dak plays the Eagles, it's a closer game. So
9-4.
I had been kind of leaning towards the Eagles just mopping the floor with them, and I've come back down to earth a little bit. I still feel like the Eagles are going to win the football game. And a lot of that has to do with, this Cowboys defense is going to be a problem. I mean, it is, especially early on in the season. Hopefully they get some reinforcements back, particularly in the secondary, and then get Kenny Clark, kind of get the wheels moving a little bit there. That's kind of a tough thing to just get thrown into. He's clearly a good player, but this is a pass rush that we thought was going to have Micah Parsons. All of a sudden, the strength of the defense just became like a so-so unit, unless Donovan Ezeraku, the rookie, really surprises. We're all pretty optimistic about him, but I mean, replacing Micah Parsons is borderline impossible. So all of a sudden your pass rush just got worse. And though your run defense should theoretically get better, does one guy really solve a run defense that has struggled for a long time? It's hard to say. And the Eagles just have a ton of talent. So, I mean, a lot of this comes down to just the Eagles right now, this healthy version of them. Looks like they got Landon Dickerson back. Saquon Barkley should have a day. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are probably licking their chops right now. So, I mean, I'm expecting this to be probably a little bit more of a scoring affair. I'm thinking the Eagles probably score 30 points. And can the Cowboys cover and score 24? I think that's very realistic.
That's how I see it. I think it's a 30-24 game. I didn't know what the spread was, so I was trying to figure that out. I was thinking it's like 31-26 or 28. I just think it's going to be a close game, and NFL wants a close game opening week anyways between the Eagles and the Cowboys on banner night. That's how I see it anyways. So
that's but Wolchuk's crotch first though with these Cowboys, ain't you, Wolchuk?
Yeah, they're winning the game. Are you kidding me? No, I think a similar score to your point, like maybe a 3-point game. Like
Yeah.
I think it's going to be close. I think obviously I would take Eagles money line if I had to bet, but I would take the Cowboys to cover the spread. I think I'm banking on the Cowboys offense showing up. I don't know what to expect from the defense, but I'm banking on them to make plays offensively, reminiscent to the second Tampa Bay game in Tampa where Brady and Dak went back and forth, but the Bucs ended up coming out on top. That was a close game.
That was a fun one.
I think it'll be something similar to that, where the Cowboys are competitive, they play well, and they lose. But as a Cowboy fan, you saw things that now you're excited about for the remainder of the season.
Definitely for sure. All right, we do this with all the first time guests. I always do these fun rapid fire, fun Q&A. I got to ask you this. Is this the last old school rivalry that still has juice, or do you consider it dead? Because I personally grew up with the Eagles-Giants rivalry because it was more heated, I feel. What do you guys – is it still alive, or would you say it's a dead rivalry? Would you say Eagles-Cowboys, or do you guys hate Washington more?
No, Eagles are number one. Yeah,
really?
It's definitely, it's the Eagles for sure. And then it would be the Giants and Washington. I think Washington's going to be good now, so that's going to bring back. But Washington sucked so bad, and the Cowboys have had stretches of like they haven't lost to I almost said the R word. They have.
You can say it on here. I've called it. I said it on air once. People looked at me like, "Oh, okay."
Well, it was. I mean, they were the Redskins at the time, and the Cowboys beat them like 12 straight times. Just crazy stuff. So they've had their number. So I would go Eagles, Giants, Commanders. But the Eagles are far and away. Like there is no team I hate more.
I like hearing you say that, just because a lot of these people who I don't even think should really be Cowboys fans. They like the Phillies, they like the Flyers, they like the Sixers, but then they like the Cowboys. Like, what's going on? But either way, those people for the longest time, especially pre-2017 Super Bowl, they would always be like, we don't even care about you. We don't even care about you. We care about Washington. Washington's a team that used to win. And so I at least thank you for that validation, at least as a
they're saying that to just piss you off.
Yeah.
You know, and it was nice when the Eagles didn't have a Super Bowl. It was easy to troll them.
Yeah. Well, those days are over, buddy. We'll see how
Unfortunately.
it goes. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I do think it will be a close game just because the Dallas Cowboys will have juice. To your point, it's going to be pretty motivating, I think, especially after the Parsons thing and seeing the Eagles kind of rally around everything. Obviously, the Cowboys want to win something, whether there is problems or not. So I do think it'll be a close game. But I really am interested to see how the Eagles do this entire season, just because it's all over the place, and this is going to be the hardest season. No back-to-backs. This is the best Eagles team probably since 1960, though, especially when they won that championship way back then. So we'll see what happens. The Eagles have to face a gauntlet, but we'll see if they could turn it around.
Okay. I'll take your word. Who's your guys' favorite non-Cowboy quarterback, or favorite quarterback you like grew up rooting for? Like, is there like a random quarterback you guys like?
I mean, after what I know it's weird because it's the Commanders, but I mean, gosh dang it, what Jaden Daniels did last year was so otherworldly. It's like, how do you not love that? Also, I think Wolchuk and I both big Joe Burrow fans. As soon as I saw Joe Burrow play at LSU versus Texas in Austin, it was like, okay, wow, the ball placement on this guy is just absolutely ridiculous. And then there is kind of a Texas tie-in with Mahomes, and I do love Mahomes. I really do. So those would be the first three that just immediately come to mind: Daniels, Burrow, and Mahomes. And also, I do think CJ Stroud's a legit quarterback. I know last year was a weird year. The Texans can't get an offensive line in front of this guy, but I do think CJ Stroud's legit.
Yeah, I mean, I co-sign all of that. As a kid, like, obviously I loved watching Peyton Manning. I loved Steve McNair. I loved the way that McNair played. Tough as hell. Obviously Favre never beat the Cowboys, so I wasn't like somebody that looked at outside of the Vikings year. But as a Packer, he never won at Texas Stadium. So, you know, I his style, like that gunslinger mentality, the Army Iron Man streak that he went on. But like Steve McNair, I'd say was probably one that was underrated, that probably doesn't get enough love, that I had a lot of fun watching as a kid.
I became defending more of Troy Aikman as I'm living down here in Florida, because everyone gives everything about Marino. I was like, I'll take Troy Aikman or John Elway any day of the week. I'm sorry, but I'll take those two. They know how to win. Am I crazy to say that?
No, you're not crazy to say that, but I love you guys. My wife is like, dude, it's time now. you've got to go. I only have so much amount of time before eventually, and we are pregnant. So
Congratulations.
I think she's a little hangry right now, boys, and I'm going to have to take care of that. I love you guys, and I'm hopeful that we can do this again very soon.
Let's do that too. Zach, Eric, where can everyone follow you and listen to you, and also check out the podcast too, by the way?
Yeah, I'm at Eric Chiofalo on Twitter, and you can catch me Love of the Star podcast with Wolchuk and Brian Broaddus anywhere you get your podcasts, and on 105.3 The Fan, Twitch and YouTube. If you're not a DFW FM radio dial kind of person, you can watch us there. But yeah, at Eric Chiofalo on Twitter, we'll get it done.
Yep, at Zach Wolchuk and everything Eric said. Love of the Star, GBAG Nation, Cowboys pre and post, sometimes on the draft show, DallasCowboys.com. We'll see if I get invited back this year.
You guys are recurring guests of the podcast, so we'll definitely hit you up again. Definitely. Would you like me to order something on Uber Eats for your wife, Zach? Would you want me to do that?
No, don't worry about that, bro. I'll take care of that. But hey, after a while, I'll probably catch up on that. Rain check.
Deal. You guys are recurring guests. Thank you for coming to the pod. We appreciate it.